All right, so we'll get off our pedestal now, and we'll talk with our important guest tonight. We have Jim Scarantino. Jim, welcome to You Judge.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
This is your first visit to our show, and I spent quite a bit of the afternoon reading and looking at your website, and I want everybody to check out the website newmexico.watchdog.org and take a look at it. Jim is very instrumental in bringing to light some of the corruption and some of the issues that people really don't hear too much about. And I'm amazed at some of the big guns that you're going after.
And they're coming after me in return. You know,
all right.
You've got to be able to take return fire in this business as well.
It's a very well written, very well documented.
Thank you.
And one of the people that you have an interesting story on is Diane Dennish, the Lieutenant Governor. Diane Dennish has been a very, she's been a recipient of some of the federal funds from the recovery, the TARP program. Well, why don't you talk a little bit about that and explain what's going on with that situation with Lieutenant Governor Diane Dennish. This is someone that we could innocently elect, and these are my opinions, and we could probably have the same kind of dirty tricks that are going on behind closed doors. So with Diane Dennish, what have you found?
Okay, what occurred was, after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, we were in an economic downturn, and Congress gave states a lot of money back in 2003, billions of dollars. $61 million came to New Mexico. This is the Bush stimulus. It's not TARP. It's a stimulus under the Bush administration.
The first one.
Right. Governor, how I got onto the story was nobody's ever reported what happened to that money. Governor Richardson simply grabbed $61 million, started spending it. The legislature got shoved out of the way, and the governor usurped the powers of the legislature to appropriate public funds and divvied out $61 million. So I started looking through the line. I've got an internal document from the Department of Finance and Administration showing where the money went, but they're very, very vague categories, and the purposes for which the money was given defy definition. There was a line item I've never seen. I've never seen this when it comes to using federal funds. He gave nearly $250,000, $225,000, to Lieutenant Governor Diane Dennish for purposes no more specific or restrictive than, quote, various projects. So what does that mean? So I filed a public records request. I looked at several other agencies too. I wasn't singling out the Lieutenant Governor. And I wanted to see every piece of paper documenting how every penny was spent. So I went and I poured over timesheets, invoices, bills, and lo and behold, I found some things that led to this story that got so much attention.
Yeah, you're talking about people all over the United States have picked up on this story. Bill Richardson is no stranger to acting like he is Santa Claus.
Well, he was Santa Claus in this case. He literally gave out $61 million in gifts from under the federal Christmas tree.
Well, no one was supposed to watch over this, or were there any specific ways that this money was supposed to be spent? It was
supposed to be spent, according to the federal act, giving the money to the state on essential state services, and meeting federal mandates. But what did Lieutenant Governor Diane Dennish choose to do with this, let's call it $250,000, $225,000? She spent it, as the Albuquerque Journal has confirmed in checking my story out, she spent these federal funds mostly on public relations, not on a government service, and let alone essential, not on meeting a federal mandate, but on public relations. And interestingly, I looked at the timesheet. She went and hired contract sort of PR people, public information officers. And the first thing I saw, and we may be able to bring it up here, I brought the actual timesheets with us. If your producer could bring it up. Yeah, I'm reading along, and in November of, here we are on the screen, November of 2004, I see an entry, work on Christmas card. Well, that seemed like an unusual use of federal money.
Christmas cards?
Work on Christmas cards. And then the next entry, on November 22nd, actually it's the same day, she put in 13 hours that day.
This is the governor?
No, this is the contract worker
who
was
right.
reporting directly to the lieutenant governor, being paid by federal funds given to the state treasury on an hourly contract. Then she billed the state and was paid. We have the approval lower down on the sheet, but we don't need to get there yet. Taking Christmas pictures. Well, that doesn't seem like an essential state service or federal mandate. And then look at the next entry, November 24th, work on Christmas card again.
How does this provide jobs for,
well, it's providing a job for one person. But here's what's interesting about it. We all get these cards from public officials who think we need an official Christmas card from, Bill Richardson, and it comes from the governor's office. These Christmas cards were not official projects of the lieutenant governor's office. The Albuquerque Journal, following up on my reporting, learned that those Christmas cards were projects of the lieutenant governor's committee to elect Diane Denish, her personal political campaign committee.
Which is different from if it were authorized by a government agency.
You cannot spend federal funds or state funds on your personal political campaign, period. There's a law. There's actually a criminal statute against it.
So she has committed, hasn't she?
I'm not going to say that.
You're not going to.
No, no. But I'm just saying,
okay,
you're not supposed to spend public money on your personal political campaign. There is a criminal statute on the books. It's a misdemeanor prohibiting using public property for personal political purposes. So anyway, so I found this, right. And we have another timesheet. If your producer would bring this up,
the other
because I looked through every line item. And by the way, we're going to talk, as soon as my first report was released, she attacked me.
Okay, so we've got another timesheet that might come up here.
The August timesheets.
There we go.
All right, here we go. Here's another interesting entry.
Now, these are actual documents, so this is not something somebody's making up. This is something that you got from
the lieutenant governor's office.
Lieutenant governor's office.
And these were the timesheets that formed the basis for invoices and public vouchers to expend these funds. No, August 4, 2004. Here's this interesting entry I've underlined. Work on carry for Saturday. Carry who? Well, it's August 2004. What's going on? It's the presidential election. On that Saturday, August 7th, John Kerry and John Edwards rolled into Las Vegas, New Mexico. Right. You're from Las Vegas. You might have remembered this. On the private train.
It was one of the most beautiful moments of my life.
And so here we have another entry where public dollars are paying this worker to work on Kerry for Saturday, to work on the John Kerry campaign with not an essential service, definitely, and not a federal mandate, and not a proper use of dollars. We have one more entry I've given your producer. If you would turn the sheet there.
We got another sheet
coming up. And give us the preceding week.
We have another document coming up, Dave.
All right, here we go. And there's more entries. I just brought 4 that can jump out.
This is all done with our tax dollars.
Oh yeah, here's another interesting. The week before the big Kerry event in Las Vegas is an entry on July 28th, 2004. DNC Media Binder. Now, Dale, what does DNC stand for?
Well, I think it stands for the Democratic National Committee.
Actually, it stands for the Democratic National Convention.
Diane
Denish was in Boston on that day at the Democratic National Convention. Now, the story gets released on our website, newmexico.watchdog.org. Diane Denish went on the attack. Other bloggers went on the attack.
She denied this, and
in no uncertain terms, she called it a patently false lie on KNME TV's interview of her.
Well, what is she, now? Is this after the Albuquerque Journal had verified your information?
Yes.
Because they sent 2 reporters to say, well, Mr. Scarantino is obviously just making this up. They looked at it.
Who is this guy?
And they found it to be true.
Right, and they tallied up the numbers and confirmed that most of the federal money spent by Diane Denish was spent on public relations for her. Even after that report came out.
And she still denied it.
She looked right into the camera and said these are patently false lies. And at the same time, her chief of staff, well, she also said we're just out to destroy people. We're some right-wing organization. Her chief of staff said we're a right-wing organization that distorts the truth.
Well, that's not true, because your biography states that quite often in the past, you have supported Democratic candidates.